Good evening. Welcome to Tanster News tonight, where we obsess about Napoleon in a new way. We are tackling one of the biggest questions of my life, our times, all times. Is it possible that Napoleon is amongst us? And if it is possible, can I prove it? I think I have already proven it to myself. To others, I don't know. But every night I come down to my basement and I read these two books. Two different people from two different centuries, two different countries, two different languages, everything different. And what do? They're the same exact person. They had different circumstances. A lot of why I couldn't see that Elvis Costello, who I like to call Cohen, was Napoleon, was just because he was a singer. Napoleon was tone deaf. So how could Napoleon, who was tone deaf, become a singer? How is that possible? I was stuck on that. Anyway, but Napoleon was not from a musical family. He had no talent for music, but he loved it. He loved music. He made music a part of every single thing. He saw it as a great instrument of, let's just say, influencing people. Napoleon certainly felt that way. I know Cohen also feels that way. Music is a great way to touch people's hearts and to get them to think and to have hopefully kinder feelings. It's a great way to influence people. And I'm in this incredibly bizarre situation where he's been my favorite musician no matter what. That never changed. He's the other musicians are good too. He's the best to me and always is the best to me. No matter what I think, he's still the best musician. So that's never in question. So definitely the Napoleon of music. So already he's in a very, I'm talking about Cohen, obviously, he's in a very, very high level. I mean, he stands up there with the greatest. He has taken pop music to places it never would have gone without him. He is a musical innovator. He is a revolutionary. He is so many things, just like Napoleon. Just his circumstances are different. And I'm hoping our circumstances are going to change. And hopefully, the world will be kind enough to help us move forward because every night I come down to my basement and explain all of these tricks and lies that the spy system has been throwing at me. So it's at the point where I can't even buy a ticket or travel to even be an audience member in my favorite musician's audience. I can't even. So they have come up with this story that I'm a health threat to the world. Who's the health threat to the world? Is it me or is it the ones who are doing this to me? Am I the health threat or they the health threat? See, that's how they always do it. They turn it around. And whatever they are, they they put it on the face of the one that they want to destroy. And that's me. So now they've turned me into a contagion. All they had to do was spend all that Ponzi scheme money and then make all those phone calls and then blacklist me and then send people to my house and then send that guy to bang pots outside my house for 2 months while I do the memoirs who ran off when I kept saying that he did 9/11 because my enemies did 9/11. So all I ever have to say is I know you guys did 9/11 and they go running because no one else is that evil. So the people that have been coming up with these stories that I'm a what am I? I'm a health risk to the rest of the world, and the world has to be protected from my me. I'm a nice person who tells the truth, who's very trustworthy, and I'm being locked away as a contagion by the ones who've been just killing and killing and killing and killing and killing and killing, and they're framing me as the contagion. So I just hope there are no more debates. There's no more confusion about who's doing this to me, why they're doing it to me, what their outlook is, the kind of people they are, how they treat children, because children don't have the defenses that we do when we're older. So they love to target children because it's so much easier to do terrible things to them. It's so much easier to trick them. So once people get older like we are, we become much more problematic. So we have to protect children from them. That's the first job that we need to get serious about because they go after children. That's the whole problem here. So this is very interesting because right now I'm going to segue into something about astrology involving Pluto and Capricorn. So a lot of people know this, but Pluto is in Capricorn right now, and it's been in Capricorn for the last few years, and it's going to be in Capricorn for a year or two more. Pluto was really slow through constellations, and this constellation of Capricorn is all about structure and limitation and walls and boundaries and duties and lessons you have to learn and things you have to do and the wisdom that comes with age. It's like that stern teacher that you hated taking his class, but then you're so glad you took it because you learned so much. That's Saturn. It's good, but it's not that much fun. And then to have Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto is just like basically the executioner. He's just gonna chop off whatever he wants. He doesn't care. And, but he's gonna change everything. And ultimately, if you can make friends with him, he might get the right people, if you know what I mean. So sometimes Pluto is good, and sometimes death is good, and sometimes it's good to have transformation and change, and that's Pluto. So we have the astrology to change our institutions and to change our structures. This astrology is real. It's 100% real. And Pluto has been making its way through Capricorn for a few years, and look at how things have changed. And my enemies count on astrology so they can ram their lies through and they think they can get away with it. But what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to say I can access this energy just as easily as they can because it's just what's going on. They're hiding it from us. That you can change governments right now. It's that we have the planetary influence for that. They don't really want us to know things like that. So when's the last time that Pluto was in Capricorn? When Napoleon was born. That's what's so incredible. And obviously, you think about Napoleon, that's a change in government, change in structures. He's the god of war practically, that's connected to Pluto and Mars. So he was the revolution, that's what he said. And that was the time of the American Revolution. That was the time of all those wars. But they were all pushed through. If you look into that, these are all manufactured things by my enemies. And I've been showing my enemies are the same as Cohen's enemies, the same as Napoleon's enemies, the same as Hortense's enemies. I could show they're the same exact people because they behave in the same exact way. And the question is, did the secret societies and the central bankers, they weren't the central bankers then, but they are now, did they know to use the influence in that way and to push for all those wars? Because the French Revolution was fomented. I keep seeing that the American Revolution was absolutely not what they're telling us. So were these They knew they could change the structures then, and then they changed the structures to be much more in the favor of the secret society people. So they did actually get a huge revolution, and that's when our like new big lie era was launched at this last Pluto and Capricorn. So they've had a wonderful run for 200 years. And here we are back at Pluto and Capricorn. So we can let the secret societies continue to run this as a terrorist, totalitarian nightmare where everything's backwards. The good person is the contagion, and the bad guy is the billionaire philanthropist. Everything's backwards, and we have the astrology to turn that around. And there's a really good transit today with the moon and Pluto and communication. So our feelings and our thoughts are very transformative right now. So it's so important to know that we can affect change. We can take responsibility for ourselves. We don't have to be this like helpless, battered wife just taking abuse from the abuser. I have seen this situation as like a global abusive marriage where the man owns the house and he pays the bills and it's going to be his way, right? And the woman is just has no way to take care of herself, and she just says, "You're right. You own everything. I better do everything your way." I mean, that's the world. And the abusive husband is my enemy, who I really hope gets what he deserves. My enemy is the abusive husband, and the whole world is the woman he's abusing. And we all just we don't know how we would live without him paying the rent and keeping that roof over our head. You know, we're all that battered wife. And you know, she needs to realize that she can walk out the door. She can say no. Yeah, it's uncertain, but that's why spiritual alignment is important. So you'll know what you can get away with and you can't get away with. You'll get good guidance. It takes practice. So it just takes practice, and it's hard to be confident you're hearing correctly, but once you are hearing correctly, you'll be in the right spot and you'll see your life improve. And we all need to like move in the right direction together. We have all of the astrology for it because Saturn is in Aquarius. So I just told you this whole story about Capricorn being like dutiful and stern and constrictive and harsh, and that's ruled by Saturn. And Saturn right now is in Aquarius. So it's a very Aquarius Saturn that is ruling Capricorn. So that lends an energy of like a mass awakening and new philanthropic structures and people helping each other and having more idealism, you know, really visualizing that better world. That's the kind of Saturn that's ruling Capricorn right now. And Pluto is there. We have the astrology for this. We have it. We can do this. Why are we this like helpless battered wife all the time? I hate it. I just need help. We just need to operate together and say, no, you can't abuse us anymore. We understand you guys love to exploit us. You think you're totally superior to us. No, you're not. You're not superior to us. Quite not. Quite not. You know, and they've been psyching us out. They've been demoralizing us. It's all been on purpose. Oh, I, I could go on. I could go on. I just, how can we tolerate this? How can we allow ourselves to be treated like this? How can we accept the humiliation of it? It's unbelievable. So I'm going to read you a letter that Napoleon wrote to Josephine. And now we're going to see once again how delusional Napoleon was about Josephine, because he does not know her. He doesn't know the first thing about her finances. I think it was actually a bait and switch marriage if he didn't know about her finances, because she had such horrible debts. So he was like tricked into this marriage, and she was from Martinique, and I really do think she put a spell on him. I could just see the way he's acting. It's not normal him. But it is normal him because that's the real him. Usually he would hide it better. So I think something unlocked that super romantic side in him. And I'm telling you, by the time he comes back from Italy, he's already snapped out of it. It doesn't last. He loves the woman, and then he gets to know her, and he realizes it's not her, and then he's disappointed. And he goes looks for the next woman. That's his pattern. And this whole letter, he's having these fantasies about things that are just not happening. He made a bait and switch marriage. She's hiding her finances and she's cheating on him. That's the reality that he's dealing with. And he's having this whole one-sided fantasy, really a fantasy, an illusion. So he's under a total illusion. I'm trying to show how this whole twin flame thing plays out because he's so looking for his other half. He so wants it to be her. It's not her. And then, I show this over and over again, how it's really his stepdaughter, and it's just tortures him. He cannot be with his stepdaughter. But even you see, he's always kind of trying to figure out how to make it work. Because when Napoleon, this is the saddest story, obviously to me, but so sad. Napoleon was so manipulative, but it was for what he thought was the best thing. He was so manipulative. So he would always talk to Hortense in these like manipulative terms if it's something he really, really wanted. So he would say to her, it would be best for your sons if you did whatever it is he wanted. Because she knew that she'd do anything for her sons. So when he was leaving her to go get captured by this rotten group, they have hurt us so much. When he was leaving her, he said to her, it's such a long story and I'll leave it out, but your sons will never make it here. Your sons have to go to America. Your sons have to follow me because it's the only way we can move forward you have to follow me to America. It's so sad. And her son's just crying, just begging to go with him. Everybody loved him so much. So you can tell he was still trying to get back together with her. But they caught him. They've been destroying our lives for so long. All of these things didn't have to happen, but they keep destroying our lives on purpose. I want people to understand my enemies, to understand them as well as they understand me, because these are they destroy people's lives, and they seem to enjoy it. So it's a really different type of crowd, and I want people to understand that they're not like us, So here's that letter where Napoleon is deluding himself. I do not know why, but since this morning, I've been happier. I have a presentiment that you have left to come here. That idea fills me with joy. It is understood that you go by way of Piedmont. The route that way is much better and shorter. You will come to Milan, where you will be very happy. It is such a beautiful country. As for me, your coming will make me so happy that I shall be quite out of my senses. I'm dying with the wish to see how you carry children. It should give you a majestic and respectable air that ought to be very pleasant. You mustn't fall ill. That's the main thing. No, sweet love, you will come here. You will be very well. You will give birth to a little child as pretty as its mother, which you will love. Will love you like its father. And when you are old, when you are 100, it will be your consolation and your joy. But twixt now and then, watch out that you do not love it more than you do me. I begin already to be jealous. Adieu, mio dolce amor. Adieu, well beloved. Come quickly to hear good music and to see beautiful Italy. There is nothing lacking to it except the sight of you. You will add to its beauty in my eyes, or rather, when my Josephine is around, I see nothing but her. B. Okay. There you go. Love letter by Napoleon. Very passionate to someone he does not know. All right. So yesterday we were reading Cohen's memoirs, and it was very moving about the performance for Linda McCartney after she died. And Cohen, who loves the Beatles, gets to drop that he's super cool with the Beatles. It's really funny. Anyway, so ridiculous fan of the Beatles getting to sing with Paul McCartney. Okay, so let's continue. I locked onto the vocal harmony on a second time around, as I'd done 1,000 times before while singing along to the record. It never really occurred to me that learning to sing either vocal part on a Beatles record was any kind of musical education. I was just a kid singing along with the radio or in our front room. Not having any siblings or friends who sang, I assumed everyone could sing harmony. I didn't realize that being able to hear harmonic intervals was actually a gift for which you should be very grateful. Right now, I was feeling extremely glad that I'd spent all that time alone with our record player. The end of All My Loving was met by an echoey round of applause and cheering from the performers scattered round the edges of the auditorium, and we were ready to go. There were a lot of fine, heartfelt performances that night, but naturally, Paul's entrance was greeted with the warmest ovation. My part in Lonesome Town may have been discreet, but I was proud to be up there as part of the band. Then Paul kicked off All My Loving. He got as far as the word eyes in the opening line, and the extraordinary increase in the volume from the audience at the recognition of a Beatles song caused my heart to race. If that was a tiny fraction of the fervor that they must have encountered nightly, then you could understand why they would eventually want to get off the stage. It was exhilarating and slightly frightening at the same time. At that very moment, someone backstage misread the cues, and Sinead O'Connor led a premature stage invasion of the entire cast, supposedly poised to join the closing choruses of Let It Be. The unexpected delicacy and emotion of the afternoon performance of All My Love was all but swept away in the enthusiastic but a coordinated caterwauling into any available microphone. It's so interesting. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you, all of you. I know the numbers aren't right, so thank you all for watching. It means so much to me. Have a good evening.